With political opinion sites becoming more present due to social media, mainstream media may have to change, and perhaps the modern understanding of journalism. I talked to Chris Mitchell, former editor-in-chief of The Australian, to see how the future of journalism will be affected. The newspaper and their website wings need to sort of be more present on social media and maybe just be out there more, or do you think there's any way they can improve that?
Well, look, I think The Australian, has a pretty strong, for a paper with a very high paywall. So it's not like Fairfax where it's easy to get past the paywall. It's very hard to get The Australian's content without being a subscriber. But it still has a large number of Twitter followers and a pretty large Facebook presence. So, I know, for instance, my media column on a Monday morning, the big spike in comments to the column and the big spike in traffic to the column comes when the Australian's media account tweets it out. So often my column, even though it's just a simple media column, has been one of the top three stories of the day. But if you track the performance of the column online, it depends totally on when it hits Twitter. So I think they do Twitter quite well these days, all of the papers really. But I think that's a separate question from what you're really asking, Lance. I think, how do you combat the dissemination of false news on Twitter is the essence of your question, isn't it? And I think that's pretty hard to do. And I guess to my way of thinking, it sort of exemplifies what's wrong with Twitter. That, Twitter is a place full of outrage and hate and venom, but not necessarily much in the way of thoughtful, factual content.
Yeah.
So I've always advised journos, and certainly when I was still the editor-in-chief of the paper, I advised journos not to get into political wars on Twitter, that they should use Twitter to market their stories, but not engage readers in a way that, allows the readers to see their personal position. So I'm pretty old-fashioned. I think journalists should not really be an open book to their readership. So lots of people have said to me, you must be a terribly right-wing person. Well, actually, I don't think anybody knows what my politics are. I've got friends on both sides of politics, and that's as it should be for a journalist. It's a very long-winded way of saying I'm not sure you really can address Breitbart, via social media. But I think in the end, what journalists need to do is, strive to get their own material correct. And editors really need to be pretty